There's a lot of kick to a shotgun. So when you get that kick and you got to pump, like you got to be like in the fucking zone. You got to be in the mood to be like,
That's right.
because like you got to get aggressive with it. You got to lean forward. You got to make sure that like pump action shotgun. You got to like that's your bitch, right? Like you can't like fuck around and short stroke the action on it, and because you'll get like a malfunction pretty quick if you do, but with the semi-auto, it's just so smooth, super smooth.
Sexy gun too. It's
like Grand Thumb. Do you ever see that channel? Like he's got his videos are sick on guns, and he can shoot the lights out, So the way like he practices any gun that he's like demoing on his channel, like he puts in like thousands of rounds of practice with it beforehand, So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess when it's your job. It's
a cool job.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
It's to like basically shoot guns for a living and have gun manufacturers send you shit, send you ammo to shoot. That's the big one.
Yeah.
See, ammo's so fucking expensive that, just like a lot of people are kind of held back to how much range time they can get based on how much ammo they can afford. So they got to do other shit like dry firing and whatnot.
So how much what's the difference between like a cheap round and an expensive round, price-wise?
I mean, there's no ammo that's really cheap anymore. Even like the stuff that is like cheap ammo is expensive, So, like I just bought 170 slugs, and it was $99, I think, for 170 slugs, which is good. And which is really good, I think. Maybe it's bad, but compares to like 308 ammunition, like out of the 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 that we shot there the other day, like box of 20 of those is like $50, I think here.
Holy shit!
So yeah, when it's more than $1 a round, that's when it sucks.
That adds up.
Yeah. But shotgun ammo is relatively cheap. It's not there's not as much kind of care needs to go into the manufacturing of the rounds, but like all those metal encased rounds have to be like machined perfectly and whatnot. But I'm gonna get into reloading. You know what reloading is?
No.
So reloading, like you keep your brass, you keep the casings for the ammunition, and then you can buy the gunpowder and the projectiles separate. So the actual bullet part.
Okay, I actually watched an ASMR video of that one time.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Not huge into it, but
ASMR.
I watch it all the time. But it's,
so when you put the headphones in, you just listen to this guy like make 1,000 rounds of
just
ammo.
like you hear him pour in the thing and he presses it down and.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh.
You need the smell too. We need smell-o-vision, right? That's the next thing.
Yeah. Put in your ear pods, you put in your nose pods. And just like
nose pods.
Watch it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Why haven't they figured that out yet?
It's coming. I hope.
Yeah. I wonder that's going to take some serious engineering. You need an Elon Musk type to get on that, right? Yeah. We'll probably get to Mars before we get smell-o-vision.
Probably. It's funny because smell is the most tied in your memory. It's like the scent. That's true. The scent's most tied in.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like if it's a nice summer day, I can see it, but when I smell the trees and stuff, I'm like, I can remember back.
Yeah. Well, that's like the air here has a smell to it, like that salty air, that ocean salty air.
Yeah.
And like living out west in the prairie provinces where it's like dry as fuck, coming back home here for vacation like once a year or whatever. As soon as you like exit the airport, you take a big whiff. It's like some memories start coming back, you know?
That's right.
So
Oh, this place.
yeah. But the air is like really it's nice, you know. Like in those drier climates, like I would wake up with like a nosebleed every day, and like my body was just not built well, I guess, for dry weather. But the air here like really makes you feel good. I think my dad, like, I don't think my dad's ever had like a glass of water in his life. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
but like out there, and you can kind of get through the day here because there's so much moisture in the air without drinking water.
That's true.
You know, so, but out there, I mean, I was pounding water all the time. You know, so yeah, it's a big difference that way. But yeah, smells are big. You know what, the smell is like tied into like a lot of our survival instincts too. Like I know like there's a reason why like shit smells so horrible to us, because if we're in a shitty place full of shit, like that's going to be bad for our health. We got to get the fuck out of there, you know? So there's a few smells like that that are, that I think we've kind of evolved to really be like, okay, there's danger associated with that smell, you know? So, so it tends to move people along, get to the other direction, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like a primitive
Yeah.
tool. Like I've heard that elk, if they smell something coming, like if you're out hunting and they smell your smell come down range,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
they'll be like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Anytime the wind changes, you know, like even my little dog Stevie, he likes to get up on, when we're outside, he likes to get up on like a high perch, whatever it is, might be like a stack of wood or something. But when the wind changes, he'll just like close his eyes and he'll put his nose up to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and maybe that's what he's doing. He's seeing if there's any new smells coming from any other directions, you know? So, but yeah, I mean, wildlife are really sensitive to that.
Yeah,
you
big
know?
time.
Yeah.
Some leaves or some trees will change the taste of their leaves.
Oh yeah,
And
really?
I think even the odor, might be wrong about that, the odor part, but yeah, if all their leaves are getting eaten,
Mm.
they'll change the flavor to something less
Wow.
desirable. Yeah.
Man, trees, like the more we figure out about trees, the more we find out about trees, it seems like there's like some intelligence to them, you know?
Yeah.
And, but, because the other thing I heard, um, what is it with trees is that, like if they'll also like warn other trees as well. Like other trees will know like if one tree is like getting cut down or something. That I might have just made that up, but
Fuck.
but they have like weird stuff going on like that we don't even know about. It's hard to wrap your head around it, really.
Yeah, it's every summer I burn multiple trees. Like I
Yeah.
go camping a lot. I
Right.
burn a lot of firewood. And when I hear that stuff, I'm like, shit. But like I can't
Mhm.
stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of the cost of living.
Right. I
you know?
mean, that's yeah, exactly. The cost of living is life.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta life feeds on life, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's true.
It's,
Yeah. And when we die and we go down to the earth, you know, the earth will swallow us up and I guess turn us into oil, like
Yeah.
down the road.
that's right.
Somebody be
Worms
sucking us
will
out
eat
of the
us a
ground.
bit.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was watching this. I don't remember the fighter, but there was a UFC fighter who made a comeback, and he started talking about eagles. And he said eagles live for like 40 years, and at 20, their beaks get soft, and their talons get blunt. So they go in the mountain and they beat their beak off a rock, and it grows back stronger. And then they pull out their talons, and it takes months for that
Holy
to
shit.
happen. And I was like, wow, like what an inspiration.
Yeah.
So I was driving out with the wife to the camper yesterday.
Yeah.
And I told her that. She's like, that sounds like bullshit. I was like, no, look it up. A UFC fighter said it. And she's like, oh yeah, no, that's fake. And she like read out. I was like, for fuck's sakes, why did this guy say all this? I was inspired all morning.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you fucking change your life and live again, you know? No,
For sure.
no. They just,
Man,
none of that's true.
I mean, like when somebody in the UFC says something, I mean, like I take it for
It's gospel.
yeah, I take it for gospel too. Like there was just a UFC there last night. Did you catch any of the fights?
No.
Mike Malott fought. He fought
Who fought, sorry?
Mike Malott.
Okay.
Have you heard of him before?
I did, yeah.
He's a Canadian, and he headlined the prelims, and building up to the fight, whoever he fought was like leaned into the whole like Canada versus US thing, and but Mike knocked him out like in the second round, I think. And but Mike Malott put on a seminar here last year, and I got to train with him a little bit, you know. And
Cool.
so he fights at 170, and I was like 240 pounds or something at that time, and he was showing us this kind of like underhook shuck to get around to somebody's back, and he did it to me, and he picked me up with one hand. So like he had this one arm around me, picks me up with one arm, and I was like weightless, man, like a baby. 240 pounds. Nobody's ever picked me up like that. Like I can't remember anybody just picking me up before. And I was like this in his arms. I go like, oh, whoa. And I was like, I'm like a baby. And he was laughing or whatever. But he fights at 170 pounds.
That's wild.
So 170 pounds, he said he was probably around like 190 or so, but
Okay.
just like a super athlete.
Yeah.
Like the way he moved was different. His neck was huge. He had like a cobra neck, like his neck like flared out like that. And I was asking him like, what do you do for neck day at the gym, you know? And he's just like laughing. He's like, I don't do it. Just, you know, that's just it.
It's weird with professional athletes. You want one of these?
I'm good.
Like Gavin, I was at the Gavin Tucker day training.
Yeah.
And he's like 150, I guess.
Right.
He's
yeah.
like I think he's lightweight. Anyway, he's like a little guy, but man, he was like, he got on my back and he did like a tight waist.
Right.
And it was like a chimp. Like he was made out of wood.
Yeah.
And even when he was doing the demos, I could see the cords in his legs. Like his quads were like,
yeah,
you know, like just
the feathering in the quads.
Oh man, well, it's just like, you know,
you
professional athletes are, yeah. It's beautiful. But
yeah. So yeah, but I think Mike Malott's brother is like an NHL player too, right?
Oh
so,
shit, okay.
So yeah, I mean,
it's in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. So so yeah, it's good to see him get a win for sure. I mean, he's like a really good coach too, and like a high level trainer. Like I think he was down at Team Alpha Male with like 𝐸𝐵𝐻's gym, like teaching those guys in California for a while, and kind of cut his teeth down there. But yeah, I mean, I got to roll with him at the end. But
what was that like?
Well, I mean, I'm not doing anything to him. Like, you know, like it's not like, but also not like I could do anything, but I'm not going hard against, you know, some guy in the UFC that's here, and then some 240-pound retard like slips and falls on his leg, and like, you know, and he's out for 6 months, or you know,
career,
yeah, like, you know, so and he had like I think he had just broken his nose, so he had one of those kind of face masks on too. So, but he was so cool. Like he stuck around. He was like the last guy to leave, and like, like rolled with everybody that wanted to roll. Like even with a broken nose, like
crazy.
Didn't care. You
That's
know?
cool, man.
Yeah,
I like
really
that.
cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder what it's like because we were talking about Craig Jones earlier. Like he goes into gyms and he says like people try to kill him and everything else, but like just that high of a level.
Yeah.
Like, a black belt's a high level, but
right.
There's like levels to that.
Yeah, levels to levels. And like competitive black belts is much different than like, you know, a guy that has done jiu-jitsu over the past 20 years and got his black belt in the gym and has never competed, you know? So, but yeah, it's so crazy that guys try to take a piece out of Craig Jones. I mean, Like he
Yeah.
can break your leg so fucking fast, like, and just he could ruin your. He knows how to, like, the braking mechanism that he knows. Like he can break your leg and fuck up your leg for the rest of your life. Like, like in a second if he wants to, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just nuts to do that.
Well,
In
speaking
any
of
kind of training
levels,
environment.
yeah, there's like levels of dumb. Like
Yeah.
we were moving a bunch of bureaus and stuff from the basement upstairs. So I was like, I'll just do this one myself. You know what I mean? Like a dummy.
Yeah.
So like I pick up this thing, I'm trying to go up the steps.
Right.
I almost died, you know.
Yeah.
Pam's like, don't do that. I was like, okay. I put it back. And then it's like, I'm gonna try to beat Craig Jones. You know, it's like
yeah. Yeah,
fuck,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, like Craig Jones is so cool. Like he went over to Ukraine and was like, went to like the front lines in Ukraine to put on like a little bit of a seminar and roll with the guys over there. And then he had a couple of retards that wanted to go hard with him, and he ended up fucking a guy up because he was like, the guy shows up and he's got like his Venom UFC kit on, and he's probably like just did a shot of Tren like in the back, and like, smelling salts, comes out, like wants to try to do good against Craig Jones. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's like, it's not gonna happen. It's like when you see guys like years ago, they'd have tap out shirts on.
Yeah.
And you just knew that they were a fucking idiot.
For sure.
And it's like, there's dudes out there who think they're like, you might be good, but I'm crazy.
Yeah.
You ever hear that before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, but I'm nuts.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
like
I just see red, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like shit pops off and like I just black out and people fall down. That's it. Alberta was like, when I was in Alberta, it was full of guys like wearing those tap out shirts, full of them.
I feel like they come with like one of those little spoons to do cocaine. Like they must, because there's definitely like a correlation between tap out shirts and people who do cocaine and get fights.
Yeah, you know what? Craig Jones has those sunglasses that has the little spoon like on the.
Of course he does. Yeah.
So the spoon, that goes around your ears, like it's like shaped, like it's got this little spoon at the end, And I ordered a pair of them for a laugh. They were like $250 or something.
Holy
right?
Shit, man.
And they got lost along the way. I guess they had to come from Australia, I guess, but so I never got them. So
there's a spoon in the earpiece.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guy is just like, he's pretty creative. He has ideas. I mean, that could be huge.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're at the nightclub and you got sunglasses on in the nightclub, I mean, you want those to be like utility, right?
That's true.
So there's a certain type of guy who wears sunglasses to a nightclub,
and they at night,
and they must, or they should at least have like a spoon to them to help you out a little bit, right?
If you're wearing sunglasses at a club, you probably partake.
Yeah. But yeah, I need to contact them and get those resent. They're probably sold out. Anything that he seems to like make like people just lap it up, right?
Yeah, he's hilarious. And he's pretty popular.
Yeah.
Something I've never like. I remember in university, there was a couple of people that used to hang out that got into cocaine, and man, I'm happy I never tried that shit.
Like I don't think I've ever heard of anybody say like, hey, you know what? A few years ago, I got into cocaine, and my whole life just turned around. It got so good, and became successful.
Best thing I ever did.
Yeah. Like I've never tried it. I don't know what it does for you or what it's like, but I remember the first time I took pre-workout, and I take pre-workout like almost every day, and it does nothing for me now, but I just kind of take it as a habit, and that feeling was phenomenal. Like the first time I ever took pre-workout. I think I took this stuff called NaNO vapor. I don't know who made it, and they probably don't make it anymore. But I was living in Regina at the time, and again, like super dry, and I was dehydrated when I took it. And we had this PT class, and we had to climb up a rope in the PT class. So I go up this rope like crazy fast, and when I got to the rope, or to the top of the rope, my head started spinning, and like my head like really like started throbbing, and I almost fell off like right from the top of the fucking gym. And I get down, and the guy running the class looks in my eyes, and my eyes are like going like like just spinning. He's like, "Go to the fucking infirmary or whatever." Um, and I ended up like pulling all the fascia in my head.
Holy shit.
Yeah, your skull is like surrounded by like fascia, like little muscle. And um, so I had like splitting migraines for the next week. I couldn't take a shit without having a huge migraine. It was horrible. So
I've never heard of like a fascia tear in your head.
yeah, you got to be really retarded
Jesus.
to do that. You got to be you got to be a big time idiot to do that kind of stuff, right?
Imagine the damage you would have did if you did do cocaine. Whew, that's just from pre-workout.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to know that side of myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No,
I need stuff that calms me down, not the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tell you, like as I got older, like psychedelics were more my speed.
Yeah,
And even then, like a small amount that I can control.
yeah,
I don't want to rack my brain.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Because some guys lose their minds on the mushrooms as well. I mean,
yeah,
I know a guy from that I went to high school with that went on vacation, did a bunch of psychedelics on vacation. Now I don't know if it was mushrooms or what, but that broke his brain, and he basically is a schizophrenic, right? So
oh wow,
so it was probably like underlying, or it was dormant, or maybe he like, that maybe like just kicked it off, or like
yeah,
got
I've
it.
heard that.
Yeah, and so he went from being like a guy we would hang around with in high school to a guy that the police got to show up at 2 o'clock in the morning at his house, and they're rolling around with him on the kitchen floor, like just fighting for their lives, right? Because I guess he's just out of his mind, right? So
Yeah, I've heard even like people have had that happen with like cannabis, where they
yeah,
underlying
right.
condition, and then they get really high, and then they
yeah,
unlock that
yeah,
part of their brain.
yeah,
My cousin, he's got a friend, and when we were younger, we used to go to his place to play poker. He had like a daughter and all those things, and then he got like really into drugs, and turns out he's like I don't know, there must be levels like we talked about, but like he's a crazy schizophrenic. Like I had to go to the mental hospital, stay there for months, and I seen him a couple of years ago. I dropped over, we were just having some beers, and I was talking to him. And he's like, yeah, he's like, well, I realized like I'm Jesus, and I met the devil, and he was like, talking about it like
right,
you're talking about going to the mall and picking up shoes. Yeah. And then he's like, but then I started to realize that I'm the devil. I'm like, should you be here? And
right.
he was drinking beer,
Yeah.
and like he lives at home with his parents. He can't work a job.
Sad, man.
Like it's crazy.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad, like how your brain can just break like that, and then you can't function really. Yeah, because it's as real to them as like this cup of coffee is to us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's that's the shitty part about policing, is that you only see people with mental health disorders at their absolute worst. So, like most people that I would deal with that are schizophrenic, the danger level is super high, because they're not looking at you as a uniformed police officer. They could be looking at you like a devil, right? So yeah, it's always high risk, but when you're dealing with somebody like that, but there's plenty of people that are schizophrenic that are walking around that you'd have no idea that they are, because they're, I guess, balanced with medication, and I take lithium. I think lithium is one that kind of balances people out.
Okay.
Could be wrong on that. But it's fairly manageable if they're healthy and they're if they're taking the right steps medication wise. But The problem is medication a lot of times for those type of conditions like that, and bipolar will really dull the person. So when they get off the medication, they get like stimulated, and it feels good being off it, and then they start to decline and then go into some kind of a psychotic episode, right? So
Yeah,
it's tricky.
it's terrible. A guy I grew up with is like a genius, like very, very intelligent. Should have been like an engineer on something big. Um, but he found out later when he was in university that he was bipolar,
Right.
and like had to drop out of engineering.
Yeah.
He joined the Navy, and he did that stuff.
Right.
And he is medicated, and he's very careful.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink like liquor. He doesn't do things that would,
Yeah.
I guess, trigger bipolarness. But
Anything that alters like your brain in any way
Yeah.
is sketch.
but even when they change his medication levels,
Mm.
you can see it.
Yeah.
It's just like in his
Yeah.
tone, in the like he's kind of withdrawn,
Right.
and then like levels out and he's himself again. Like it's
Yeah. And bipolar too, like some of the most creative people in the world are bipolar. Like there's it, like it unlocks like a lot of like creativity in a way. I mean, Kanye West is bipolar.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's right off the rails now. Like he's like all into Nazism. It's nuts.
Yeah, that was a weird turn.
I don't know what the hell that's about.
He's like got like Nazi shirts, doesn't he? Like swastika shirts or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Made out of like diamonds or some shit.
Yeah,
It's like-
and I think he released some kind of new song that's like praising Hitler or something like that.
really.
Yeah, it's just I don't. Yeah, that's just sad. But it's like this little seed gets planted in his brain, and he just gets obsessed with it. But if that guy's energy is focused in the right direction, I mean, he has some of the best music, out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like especially like his old stuff, and you'd see like his creative process. Like I've watched documentaries on him, and you see the way his kind of mind works, and he's thinking of stuff. So, but there's like a price to pay almost for that much creativity, and
Yeah, they say there's a fine line between genius and insanity.
for sure,
And
yeah,
I guess you got to ride the rail
yeah,
to.
yeah, like Elon Musk, right? Like certifiable genius, most successful businessman in the world, and but he rides that line
Autism.
of like craziness
Yeah.
and whatever. There was something that what was it with a video game? He was like ranked like #1 in the world at a certain video
Oh, and
game. At one point.
Diablo. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. But it came out that he's so crazy and he's so busy all the time that he was actually paying some super nerd to like level his account and like get him like the best like gear. Or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. And and then he would play the game, with this kind of character that is all leveled up and whatever. And he'd stream it, but people were like, this doesn't really make sense. Like it's like for somebody that's that good at the game, like certain things they're doing, like when you have other people that are really good at the game, they can see kind of weird things going on that like a player that is the best in the world just wouldn't be doing. But that's how crazy he is that he's going to pay somebody to be good at the game for him. And then
Imagine having that job. Elon Musk is paying you to play
yeah,
a video game all day.
I wonder how much that guy was making.
Oh, man.
Would it be a sick job?
I hope he was making a ton of money.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
he's balling out of control.
Yeah, you're making a couple $100,000 a year, playing a game for Elon Musk, and you got to keep your mouth shut. That's part of the deal, and so you're negotiating like your salary, and it's like, dude, you got to pay me, or I'm just gonna shoot my mouth off and like ruin this whole thing for you.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
it's but yeah, I mean, the amount of creativity it takes to kind of run a super business like he does, and if you watch that SpaceX stuff, like those rockets launching and then coming back to Earth and catching it, like that, like the Dragon or something like that. What is it called? The type of rocket, but
Big balls, I think. So,
Big balls,
big
yeah,
balls rocket.
yeah, the big balls rocket. But that is like that looks like something like when I first saw that, like that rocket coming down and like being caught by, and these are like fucking these rockets are like the size of skyscrapers, right?
Oh yeah, and it just shot in
Yeah,
and
it
landed.
like I couldn't believe my eyes. So like my eyes were like it didn't even look real at first, because like when you're seeing something that your mind has like a hard time like processing, it almost seems like it's not real. It's almost like the natives like seeing like Columbus, the ships coming ashore, like they see these big ships and they're like, what the fuck is that? You know? And then
That's
all of a
right.
sudden
Yeah.
a bunch of assholes come off and
You know,
like try to run their show, right? But yeah, it's weird how the brain works. Yeah.
yeah, it's funny because I've noticed watching him in interviews, him and Jordan Peterson do the same thing where if they're asked a question, they take their
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
They stop and they think.
They have no
know?
issues just sitting there and just letting.
Really thinking
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like that.
I wish I had it. I find that I'm trying to anticipate questions before they come so I can like give a good answer. But
Right.
it's like they're well thought out.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Right.
their life and
Yeah.
their intelligence levels are so high.
Yeah. 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 Not my brain is not doesn't work that way.
No, I'm so hyped up off of coffee and Zanies, and I'm like firing on all pistons all the time. Like there's
Yeah.
no time to
Yeah.
think, you know?
Right. Yeah. My hamster wheel. I got a hamster wheel in there, right? So it's sometimes a hamster is taking a nap. Sometimes he's taking a shit in the corner.
That's right.
But when I get that pre-workout in me, that hamster jumps on the wheel, and he has about like a half hour in him until then it's back down to fucking lazing around.
Speaking of the pre-workout, so John mentioned before that he puts like a pre-workout next on his bedstand when he's got to get up at the 6 o'clock classes.
Really?
And I did that, and man, does it ever work? Like you wake up at 5, you chug it, whew, you're wide awake. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, your heart is like flipping around and
Yeah.
doing all kinds of shit, but you're wide awake. And then
I mean, I find the best thing is just to immediately start walking. I go down the basement and get on the treadmill and just start walking.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So just you walk for like 10 minutes and then you're kind of fired up a little bit. Another thing that works first thing in the morning is salt.
Really?
Yeah. Having like a teaspoon of salt.
Like
Something
the electrolytes from it?
It's something about salt that opens up your adrenals and wakes you up a bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So salt water. Take a teaspoon of salt, swish it around some water, knock that back. That's good too. So I don't do that, but I've heard about it, So yeah.
We did the 75 hard twice. And
The what?
you ever heard of the 75 hard challenge?
75 hard. No.
Yeah. I'm gonna sign you up here. I apologize. It's been we went out last night, like I was saying. It was the first time for me, and probably I haven't had a drink in almost like 3 months.
Yeah.
I just took a nice long break from it, and yeah, my brain is like in between sleep and being awake. But so the 75 hard is no alcohol.
It's good to like revisit that after a few months and see like that's the kind of effect it has on you.
Yeah.
Because you kind of get a little bit numb to how bad it just fucks up your brain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I do it every year. I probably take like I'll have drinks if we go out or whatever for a couple months. Then I'll take a couple months off.
Yeah.
Last year I took the full summer because like I like having drinks in the summer. I was like, this year I won't. I did a what are they called? You run a mile, 200 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 200 squats, and run another mile. There's a name on it. named after a seal, I think.
Hmm.
Anyway, I did that every Saturday. I ran and I was like in great shape.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. It's good for the brain. Plus,
Hmm.
like, I don't know. Besides Sonic, it's like your upper deckies. I
Yeah.
don't really like. I don't know. It's like it's kind of bad for you. So it's like, should I quit this forever? And just like taking its power away for a bit. It's
Yeah.
like it's really fun to have drinks,
Yeah.
but the next day you're not 100%. You're kind of throwing your day away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, there's new research coming out with alcohol as well that like there's a correlation between alcohol and cancer as well.
big time. Yeah.
So, I mean, what doesn't cause cancer, but it makes sense, I guess, the way alcohol is metabolized, kind of like that, like sugar or whatever, like alcohol breaks down to a sugar.
Yeah.
Maybe. Um, but, but yeah, so it's, yeah, it's definitely something you use almost as a tool for good occasions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I find too where there's not a lot on the go here. Like if there were shows or like professional sports or like we had interesting things come here,
The weather's big too for it.
the weather, yeah, is terrible all the time. So it's like, excuse me, it's really boring.
Yeah.
Like, hang out with the kids, I hang out with the missus, we watch TV, but sometimes if some of the guys are getting on the go, it's just like,
Mm.
just want to go blow off some steam.
Yeah.
It's boring here.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to.
Daddy's gonna go have a few drinks at the bar, play the WAPs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Throw some money into those, but
Yeah.
no, it's just it is like I feel like if we were somewhere with more stuff on the go, then I don't even know if I would
Yeah.
have drinks.
Yeah. I think the weather is like a huge influence on that because when COVID went down, and we were all locked down, we couldn't go outside, and I think it was like wintertime maybe. My God, everybody started boozing at home.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So, I feel like that contribute to a lot of unhealthy lifestyles, and like I know some guys that got into drinking by themselves and haven't really recovered from it, and still drink by themselves, and they're worse for wear, right? But well, yeah, that's like the rule. Like a good rule that I have is like I never want to have a drink alone.
Mhm.
You got to have
Yeah.
a dance partner, and kind of set that kind of roadblock for yourself. But yeah, just I mean, in my 20s, I mean, pounding beers like be nothing for me to drink a case of beer in my
Oh,
20s
absolutely.
and just
Yeah.
be like fine, like okay, I drink a case of beer, and you think about how much calories is in a case of beer. I mean, that's probably over 2,000 calories in a case of beer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
plus, it's like it goes hand in hand with eating shitty. You
Yeah.
have some beers, especially the next day. It's like I just want to feel better.
yeah,
Eat McDonald's.
yeah. Well, you're craving that salt too. That's
Yeah.
because it's a diuretic, and you lose a lot of those important electrolytes in your body. So, I found like the best way to recover is like get salt into you and like take like a cold shower, get like cold water on your head,
Okay.
just sit under a cold shower and get all that inflammation out of your out of your brain, really. And that's a good way to kind of get back on track. But yeah, definitely one of the worst habits you can have for sure.
Yeah, I find that like every once in a while, if we're gonna watch a movie, we'll have like 2 cocktails. Like,
Mm.
we'll have like 2 old fashions.
Yeah.
Or if I am gonna have drinks, I'll just pick up like 4. I don't drink beer anymore, so like
Yeah.
I'll pick up like 4 White Claws.
Mm.
Um,
Like an old fashions is nice, or like a cocktail is nice because there's a process to it at least. Like you have to
It's a sip and drink too.
make
sip
it, when you're just opening up a bottle of like Captain Morgan and you're slamming that back, you're putting a little Pepsi in it with it or whatever, like, or you're cracking open beers. I mean, like just sitting down and drinking beers. I'm not like a sipper. Like I like take gulps of stuff too. So so like I'll go through beers like they're water, really, you know.
Yeah.
But and I got to drink a lot of beer
I bet you're a
to
big dude.
to get
Yeah.
silly, you know, to feel silly, get that kind of that feeling you want out of it, I guess. But you know, and then by that time, bloated, you know, just feel like shit,
Yeah.
you know. So
Terrible sleep.
Oh my
Terrible
God.
morning.
wine really gives me bad sleeps. Like if I drink wine,
Yeah,
that,
same
that
way.
doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what the hell it is about wine, but
There's I think they're called conagers, but basically, the higher the conager content is in a type of alcohol, the worse your hangovers are.
really,
Yeah. So heavy beer and red wine and like dark rum are the worst.
right,
But
all very sugary.
exactly.
drinks, right?
But vodka has the least amount.
Yeah,
And then it's like tequila, some
Yeah.
tequilas. I think as long as it's clear, you're pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, the rule of thumb. Yeah, yeah, I heard that as well. Like vodkas and tequila are pretty good for that. But what'd you say it was conagers?
I think it's called conagers.
Do you know what exactly that is, or like,
No, I read it before because when I got into the keto diet, I was trying to figure out if I could drink alcohol, and they were like, "You can drink vodka and tequila." And then
that's when you know you're starting off a diet like that you're probably not ready for. Is like, you know, can I booze while I'm I'm on this diet, right?
yeah, that was well, it's funny because you could, and I went down a rabbit hole. Sorry for the coughing, everybody, but
Yeah, you're just getting over some sickness, right?
Yeah.
You had the flu or something.
yeah, it still is lingering. But anyway, I got down a rabbit hole, and it was like, you can drink vodka on the keto diet, and good news, it has the least amount of conagers. And I was like, conagers? I'm probably saying that super wrong, but anyway, and they were like, they lead to hangovers, and you know, yeah, it was. And I found, so I got into vodka then. I would just basically some vodka, some a bit of Mio, some water,
Yeah,
and like I could have a sipping drink,
yeah,
you know, with like little calories. And my
Yeah.
hand, I like sometimes I felt fine.
Yeah.
like, the next day, like I
Yeah.
wasn't killing the bottle.
yeah,
But I find the big difference is there's people that drink liquor. It's like you have a couple of drinks, and there's people who drink liquor. They have like a bottle,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah, of
like
course, yeah.
that I don't get, because like the worst feeling in the world to me is like a blackout. Like
Yeah.
if you black out,
Yeah,
it's like that's brain damage, bro. Like
yeah, it is. Yeah, probably,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You
Blacking out.
can't remember,
Yeah.
you know, and you were awake.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there's nothing that gives you more anxiety than having to ask people like to fill in like gaps of the night that like because you're blacked out on the booze. Ugh, terrible. Like the way I drink right now is like I drink like really smoky scotch, smoky and peaty scotch. So it is really intense. There's a lot of intensity to the drink, you know. So you don't want to be drinking a lot of them because it'll like when you drink stuff like that, you can't taste much afterwards, you know. But so just focus on having like a nice drink instead of a lot of drinks, you know. But I don't know. It's just no right way to do it. I think it's just like what's like the least harmful way to do it, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It was well, I have a therapist that I talk to once a week, and he's in Texas. I like found this guy on purpose.
Yeah.
He's like a Texas guy. He's a Christian.
Yeah.
which means like he's like, this guy is a straight shooter.
Right.
If I'm like, you know, this and that, he's like, well, you're doing this. And
He's a
you're
real
doing that.
Christian.
Yeah. He's like, you know, it's but like he'll staple my balls to the wall with like facts. He doesn't
Right.
hold my hand. He's like,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta
Yeah.
fucking do this. You gotta man up here. You gotta, you know.
Yeah. There's nothing
And,
worse than a therapist that you have a chat with and they agree with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't need somebody that's agreeable. Like,
No.
you know, you need somebody that can rewire your brain, give you alternative perspectives,
Big time.
you know,
Big time.
even if they might agree with you on some stuff, like whatever, but But you need that. You need somebody to really, rewire your brain and give you.
You need that good buddy
Yeah.
chat,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
where it's like, dude, you're doing this.
Yeah.
Obviously that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you need your feelings hurt if they need to be hurt as well, right? Like, you because if somebody if a family member has that chat with you or a friend, um, that that personal relationship when like you're hearing something from somebody that you have a connection to in that way, it may not be as easy or may not even be delivered in a good way as a
Yeah.
therapist would, right? But
No, he's awesome. And so there was a couple times like last year, like my hangovers, I'd be like super down, you know,
mm,
and when I was talking to him, he's like, to be honest, like you're not even ready to have drinks. Like you got some shit to get over.
mm,
And then like if you want to, then sure, you know,
yeah,
and because I think some people can use it as like a crutch because when you drink it like numbs you out
yeah,
and like it gets rid of your anxiety. You
yeah,
feel fun, and that's why having drinks with your friends is so fun because you
yeah,
can fucking shoot the shit, you know,
yeah,
and not you're inebriated, so
yeah,
it's open. But I think that some people aren't ready to have drinks. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Well, you get into this crazy loop where you drink because you're unhappy and you're unhappy because you drink type
Yeah,
thing. That's that
yeah.
fat bastard quote from Austin Powers back in the day.
Oh damn.
He's like, um, I eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat. It's like fuck, that's tough.
It's deeper than it's
Right.
than it should be. Wow.
Yeah. Like, how do you get out of that vicious cycle? But yeah, I think the fat bastard died at the end of that movie. Maybe that's how he kind of got relieved of his unhappiness.
I got a feeling that he got liposuction or something.
Oh yeah, you might
Maybe.
be right. Yeah, yeah,
Those movies, man. Mike Myers, he was a gem.
yeah, yeah. Back in the day, yeah, yeah. He had, yeah. As a kid, like watching those movies, they were so good, But yeah, I haven't revisited that kind of comedy in a long time.
I don't know how they'd age.
Yeah,
It was very slapstick.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been following any like world news lately or any current events?
A little bit.
India and Pakistan. Have you been seeing any of that go down?
No, not yet. I made a choice not to get consumed because the whole thing with the liberals the last 8 years really fucking was
That's
heavy. Yeah.
that's still I had to like focus on that to kind of get my mind off of local stuff.
So what's going on?
Well, I mean, India and Pakistan have been at each other's throats since like the 40s. Essentially, they fight over Kashmir. Pakistan thinks Kashmir is part of Pakistan, and India thinks Kashmir is part of India, and um, so yeah. The shitty thing about it for everybody else is that they have nuclear weapons. They both have nuclear weapons. Who knows how many they got? But it's essentially India blames Pakistan for like festering terrorism in Pakistan, and there was a huge terrorist attack in that Kashmir region in India, where gunmen just killed over 20 people, and they asked them like, are you Muslim? And then asked them to cite a passage from the Quran, and if they couldn't do it, then we'd basically execute them.
Jesus.
Yeah. So India believed that Pakistan wasn't doing enough to quell that problem in Pakistan. So according to India, they launched targeted strikes against different terror cells in Pakistan. But Pakistan denies that they do that, or that that's a problem in Pakistan. And then they responded as well. They had, according to like sources, there was the biggest air battle in modern history of basically fighter jets from each side taking shots at each other from kind of their respective borders. So, like circling the border and airspace in Pakistan, circling the border and airspace in India, and they're firing missiles at each other. And that went on for hours, which
Holy
which
shit.
is unheard of in this kind of day and age. And and they like India, I think spends the third. They have like the third highest budget on military spending in the world, right behind China, maybe. So um,
I feel like a dope. I had no idea. Wow.
yeah, yeah. So it's not good for everybody, when two nuclear powers are throwing down, and they both seem to want to escalate the issue, right? So they've had a bunch of wars over the years. Um, they they had, I think they had something go down in 2009, in the 90s. So like in the 80s, in the 70s was a big one, I think. So like every 10 years, it seems like things kind of bubble over with that place, and they end up duking it out, So yeah, it's sad, man. It's just like, wars popping off all over the place.
Everywhere.
And the thing about that is like um, Apple, I think, recently moved its manufacturing from China to India, and I don't know if that had anything to do with it either. But China like backs Pakistan and funds a lot of their military expenditures. Um,
Of course it does. Yeah.
yeah, do you ever listen to Mike Baker?
Yeah.
That's a really good way to get like worldly kind of news in like a condensed format.
It's the president's daily brief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just to the point. He doesn't really add any uh, uh, like opinion into it. It's pretty much like facts that he like puts out about like what's going on in the world. Um, so um, so I watch that in the morning, like when I'm stretching and all that, just to see what the hell's going on. Um, but China, he's clearly not a fan of China at all. But it, you have I don't know really what the relationship is with like India, because India and Russia get along, it seems like, but then Russia and China are strong partners as well, and then China's backing Pakistan. So there's like these proxy wars all over the planet, and so it seems like, I mean, when the Ukraine war popped off, I felt like that was kind of World War III starting, and because um, I mean, when you have the Western world like funding this army and giving it all these weapons um, to fight Russia, and China's helping supply Russia, and North Korea is sending soldiers into the fray as well. Um, you have all these major players in the world that are involved in some way. So I mean, how is that not a world war? Even though it's not a hot war between all countries, but it seems like that's kind of how wars are fought right now.
Yeah. Through
You know?
proxies.
Yeah.
Well, even like, I wonder if like with Israel and Pakistan, if they never seen the backing of, or Israel and Gaza, if they never seen like people within the Western world not backing Israel,
Mhm.
because it seems like that was going to be another proxy war. Not
Yeah.
really a proxy, but like something backed by the Western world as well. And then
Yeah.
we got this thing with India and Pakistan. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, like we just need a high. We need like a someone of importance to get assassinated now to really spark this powder keg, like France
Right.
Ferdinand. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. 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 It's yeah. Or a nuke goes off. I mean, if a nuke goes off in the modern age, I mean uh, that's big, But um, I- like the U.S. is trying to de-escalate it. They agreed to some kind of a ceasefire there yesterday or 2 days ago, but it wasn't long before that ceasefire was broke. I don't know who really fired the first shot, um, but that crumbled pretty fast, So It sucks. It sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's odd, not to strap on my tinfoil hat, but like we've been in such a state of chaos now for the last 8
Yeah.
years. It's like there's no break.
No
Like,
break.
why is it always escalating? Like
Yeah.
everything's escalating. And on
Yeah.
top of that, it's like open borders
Yeah.
and like there's pushback on something that we've all agreed with. People should immigrate legally.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's still the great divide between it's not even, when we were younger, it's like we talked about it before, but like if you were pro war, you were probably a Republican or,
Yeah.
a conservative. And now it's like you just choose a side on who
Right.
you want to fucking win a war.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just chaos all the time.
Yeah. So, uh, like, and with the India Pakistan thing, Pakistan is kind of is like a pariah as well with that kind with the Arab world as
Mhm.
well. Like, I like the Saudis and those other Muslim countries. They're not a fan of how extreme Pakistan is. I mean, they were fucking harboring Bin Laden,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Well, we didn't know he was here." It's like, what? You guys didn't know he was there? Because Pakistan has like very good intelligence, and in the, like intelligence operations and stuff like that. So there's no way they don't know that like this compound that was right outside, I think their largest military base in Islamabad. Um, that there wasn't some high profile person living at that compound that was extremely secretive.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, I mean, India seems very content with playing like a lot of covert, like weird operational stuff too. Um, I mean, Canada accused them of assassinating uh, people in Canada that were associated to extremism before they left India to come to Canada as well. So now at the same time, I mean, like the U.S. does that a lot as well. Covertly. So it's not like it's unique to them, but yeah, I mean, uh, for years and years and years. Like if you ever watch any documentaries on nuclear weapons and the probabilities of nuclear war around the world, India and Pakistan was always the number one risk to that, to basically, well, to like a nuclear war popping off at some point in the future, right? So um, I watched this documentary. I think it was called Countdown to Zero. Um, it's 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 a it's been out for a long time now, but that was a really good documentary on basically how nuclear weapons are developed and the price you pay for nuclear weapons and whatnot. But
What's it called?
Countdown to Zero,
Okay.
and it has this really cool sequence in this documentary. I'm trying to remember; it's been so long since I've watched it, but this woman, she's describing like basically every second of what happens when a nuclear blast goes off, and it's really creepy. And they're playing this song. What's this song? It's Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So they're playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow as she's like describing how like what happens in the initial phases of a nuclear blast, and you're like, oh my god, like And she like one of the things she said, like if you are even like if you can even see the initial blast, from one of these weapons, however whatever kilotons that it's calculated at how big the blast is, you will immediately go blind. You're,
Oh my god.
it's like, so it's because you're creating an explosion that's like hotter than the center of the sun, and especially with like nuclear fusion and like nuclear fusion, because there's two types. There's like fission and fusion bombs. So fission bombs, they shoot basically, the really crude way of doing it is they shoot like two pieces of like highly enriched uranium at each other and the atoms split. But the fusion bombs are even crazier, where they encapsulate uh, like heavy water, which is like some hydrogen, some kind of hydrogen that's refined, um, and but it's encapsulated in a fission bomb. So when the fission bomb goes off, it fuses the hydrogen. That's why it's called the hydrogen bomb. And then the fusion creates an even bigger explosion. You know, the Russians detonated a 50 megaton fusion bomb somewhere in the Arctic back in the 60s. And this explosion was so fucking big that, and the bomb was so big, they put a big parachute on the bomb. And when the guy drops it out of the plane, they gave him a 50% chance of survival just from dropping this bomb with a parachute just to slow it down so he can get away. And he almost died. You know, so the shockwave of that blast like wrapped around the planet like a few times as well.
Man,
You know,
that's
so
crazy.
the thing about like a bomb that big is the good thing about a bomb that big is that they don't make them that big because it's so heavy the payload that you can't really put it on an ICBM, which can just hit different places in the planet. Like ICBMs, when they're launched, they go outside the atmosphere. They go way higher than the International Space Station. They go like fucking like 4,000 miles in the.
Really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that. Okay.
they go so because they basically dump all their fuel to get as high as they can, and then all that kinetic energy. When they get high, it's coming down. So it re-enters the atmosphere at like Mach 26. So that's why they're so hard to stop, because they're coming in so fast. So you just can't put a bomb that big on something like that. So who knows what the hell kind of bombs they got. But yeah, Countdown to Zero. It's if you should look that up and have a watch. And
I will.
If you want to freak yourself out and not be able to sleep tonight, watch that. You know. So.
Yeah, I do like suffering. I probably should check it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I gotta go pee before I throw up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go hit the head.